Hi, this is Margo. This is Wednesday evening, June the 26th, 2019, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So I'm tracking the sulfur dioxide cloud that's moving across the Pacific from basically the Kamchatka area all the way across the Aleutian Islands. It has crossed the Bering Strait and covering Alaska and going up into Canada. It's also spread out to the west, going over Siberia, and this is from the Ulawun Volcano that blew up over the weekend, or on the 22nd and 23rd. Those were the most active days. It's still active. It's still giving off, but not like the big explosions that they had at the beginning. And we also had a large volcano go off today, the Ulawun Volcano down here in Papua New Guinea. We're going to be talking about that too. But this dwarfs everything. Now, the Ulawun Volcano is not showing a lot of sulfur dioxide today. I'm thinking it's going to show up tomorrow on cams. It's usually, for volcano eruption, it's usually the day after is when the sulfur dioxide shows up. So we'll be looking for that, and I'll show that when it comes up. This is the Pacific view of sulfur dioxide and Pacific view and total column. So this is how they're anticipating this sulfur dioxide to spread out, and you can see it kind of doing this weird kaleidoscope, circling and recycling. And we can see an arm that's coming down to the United States. That's going to be coming across the western states and up and across. We see Canada being covered up with it, but we see a lot of it just kind of churning around over eastern Siberia, and then it's moving down towards China as well, and the Asian areas. But this is a huge amount of sulfur dioxide being released into the atmosphere. It could cause some cooling effect, but it's raining in the Arctic. If you haven't seen my Arctic sea ice update, I just posted that a couple of hours ago, and so go and watch that, and you'll see the state of the ice in the Arctic, and it's melting very quickly, faster than expected. Here's the North Pole view, and we can see at the beginning of today it was heading over into the Chukchi Sea, or over the Chukchi Sea, but it's actually raining. Big long band of rain coming across the Arctic today. And so with the sulfur dioxide up there, if it rains or snows, then the rain or snow will come down with ashes and all of the toxic like sulfur dioxide or anything else that's broken down into this, because there are lots of different greenhouse gases that come up, or they're volcanic gases that escape in when a volcano erupts, and then it starts transforming into lots of different things. And so all that'll be coming down in the rain and the snow, and it will be causing the sea ice to melt even faster. And so if we run the movie, we'll be able to see how they think this computer model thinks that this is going to kind of dissipate or keep circling or what, but it's still very high levels of sulfur dioxide. And we have lots of volcanoes erupting around the world right now, but this is, right now here today, from what we're seeing on sulfur dioxide, this is, look at this coming all the way across to Greenland. So that's going to make the ice melt faster on Greenland too. This is the most I've ever seen in a sulfur dioxide release, and I've been watching this stuff for a little over a year, about a year and 3 months, and reporting on it. So here it goes. We can see it just moving across and spreading out over the Arctic. Also coming across Canada. Coming down over Siberia. Look at that. Just covering Siberia over there. So you get the idea on that. So I'm going to leave this as a backdrop now. Now let's take a look at the new volcanic star for today, though. I have an article from NDTV. Papua New Guinea volcano erupts, sending residents fleeing. A pilot for New Guinea helicopters flying near the crater witnessed a column of lava spurting vertically into the equatorial sky, along with ash that has been belching since early morning. And this is from today, June 26th at 3:26 IST. So here's a picture of the blast. This is from Mount Ulawun Volcano spewing lava. So there's the lava going up. There's the ash cloud. From Kokopo, Papua New Guinea's volatile Ulawun Volcano, designated one of the world's most hazardous, erupted Wednesday, spewing lava high in the air and sending residents fleeing. Already read that sentence. Ulawun, on the remote Bismarck archipelago chain, is listed as one of the 16-decade volcanoes targeted for research because they pose a significant risk of large, violent eruptions. Witnesses said lava had cut off the main highway in north of the island. The volcano activity at Mount Ulawun began at 7 a.m. this morning after slightly rumbling and light emission. This is from Leo Porikura, an official at the West New Britain Disaster Office. The Oroville Volcano Observatory has declared a Stage 1 alert warning of a possible eruption. Witnesses had reported ash spewing out of the 2,034 meter or 7,657 foot summit, sending trails spanning high overhead. The sky has turned black. They said the villagers living at the base of the volcano had already been evacuated, and this is quote, he and his colleagues were gathering their belongings. Japanese satellite imagery and sources on the ground had shown sulfur dioxide and now volcanic ash drifting from the crater. Australia's Bureau of Meteorology said the ash reached more than 13 kilometers or 44,000 feet into the air, but on Volcano Discovery, they say that it reached 63,000 and 55,000 foot altitude. Unbelievable. Now, I've got it located on Google Earth. So here we are. Here's Australia here. Here's Papua New Guinea, and here's the little archipelago that goes up. And Ulawun is right here on this western side, and there it is, right there. And there's the crater, and in this picture there's smoke rising up. So that's the crater, and that's the volcano. And on Wikipedia, you can read about it. It says the most recent eruption occurred at approximately 7 a.m. on June 26, 2019, and was quickly upgraded to a major subplinian eruption with ash reaching 63,000 feet. Over 5,000 people were evacuated with flights canceled into nearby Hoskins Airport and lava cutting off the New Britain Highway to three different locations. The last few years have seen almost constant activity at Ulawun with frequent small explosions and have caused great damage and loss of life. Says that Ulawun alone releases about 2% of the global total of sulfur dioxide emissions into the atmosphere. So we'll be looking for that. Here's the eruptive history. Here's the one that's in progress. The last eruption was September 21st, 2018 to October 12th, 2018. So it's been very active. There's the decade map, etc. So I will leave links below on that. Now here on Volcano Discovery, this is from today at 5:49 p.m. Ulawun Volcano, Papua New Guinea, major ash clouds drifting east and south from the volcano at 63,000 and 55,000 feet. While it's not only night over Papua New Guinea now, a vast area around the volcano is now likely to be shredded in darkness caused by ash from the eruption. It is unclear whether the activity at the volcano still continues or has subsided or ended. However, the ash plume has been split in two major portions by winds blowing in different directions at different altitudes. The highest portion, at 63,000 feet, is rapidly drifting east and already at more than 500 kilometers distance from the volcano. The lower part of the plume, up to 55,000 feet altitude, is instead spreading and drifting more slowly to the south. The aviation color code is red, and all aircraft should avoid the affected areas in a wide distance. And here's more on it. So this is the star of the day, and I've got NASA Worldview pulled up. This is from yesterday because it's too cloudy to see anything over here today. But here it is from yesterday on NASA Worldview. Here you can get oriented. Here's Papua New Guinea, and here's the little archipelago, and here's Ulawun, and it was spewing up ash yesterday on the 25th. You can see it right there, spewing up a cloud, and look how high it went way up. So that was pre-explosion. It was already sending it up way up. It's hard to tell where that leaves off, but that was from yesterday. Here it was from the 24th. It was also giving off stuff on the 24th. And it was too cloudy to see it on the 23rd. Cloudy, and so forth. So there's all that. So I'm anticipating a large sulfur dioxide release to show you tomorrow from CAMS at Ulawun. And I will be disappointed if it doesn't live up to all of this exposure now. Now let's move on to our earthquake report, but before we do that, let's see what's going on at the Oroville Dam. The latest lake level is at 895.97 feet and holding. It's been at that same level all day. This last reading was at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And in looking at my notes, it's been 895.97 since midnight. And yesterday it went up 0.04 feet from midnight to midnight. So they're holding it right there. Inflows and outflows are about the same. So there's that. Now let's get into our earthquake report. We have USGS pulled up here. And we had an Arctic earthquake right up here, almost at the North Pole. This came in this afternoon at 3:12 this afternoon. That's 3:12 Pacific time. It was a 5.1 north of Severnia Zemlya. Now here's Novaya Zemlya. So it's up there. It's almost right at the North Pole. So we have 269 earthquakes worldwide today, and of those 33 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So let's see, let's start with the oldest ones. Now last night I showed a 6.3 up here off the Kamchatka Peninsula, and then after that happened yesterday early morning, but right after I finished my report last night, look at all of this that came in. There was another 6.4 that came in at 7:18. It was right after I finished my report. and we've got 9 earthquakes here since yesterday. So I'm going to read them off. 6.4, 4.6, 4.5, 4.6, 4.8, 4.5, 4.3, 4.6, and 4.2, and the last one happened at 4:02 this morning. And notice how most of these are at 10.0 kilometers. That's a default range that the USGS puts in if they don't know the depth or they don't want to let us know. Now this one, this 4.8 at 10:17 last night, they're showing it 29.1 kilometers deep. And the rest, we really don't know how deep they were. So there's a ton of activity going on there. So the Raikoki volcano is right down here. Is it related to this? Possibly. We also have 2 more volcanoes going off here on the Kamchatka Peninsula. I'm thinking they're all related because volcanoes and earthquakes both involve magma, and they involve movement of the magma and sometimes explosive movement. So why not? Now let's see what else might be coming off the map soon. We've got plenty of time with all of those. So let's just okay, so we've covered this one north of Severnia Zemlya. We've covered these at Kamchatka. Let's look at these at Afghanistan. We have 3 here today of 4.3, 4.4, and a 4.5, and these are fairly deep. This first one was 209 kilometers at 2:21 this morning, and then at 2:33 this afternoon was this 4.4, 100 kilometers deep. And at 3:01 this afternoon was this 4.5 at 129 kilometers deep. Coming on around down here in Indonesia, a 4.3 near Palui, Indonesia at 12:10 this morning. Now look at this depth. 606 kilometers deep. Now that will cause movement of the plates around the planet, definitely. That's some of the deepest I've seen. But that was in the ocean, and the deeper it is, the less you're going to feel shaking on top. Here's Abhepura. It's still going off. Here's a 4.9 at 9:50 last night. And so on the earthquake map, Ulawun is right here. Oops, I went too far. It's right there, in case you want to see where it is. And see, it's right next to this road. There's a road that runs right next to it. So that's what's going off right now. Then moving on around, here's a 5.7 near Gizo, Solomon Islands at 8:18 last night. And then down here, we're still seeing earthquakes near L'Esperance Rock, New Zealand, of 5.3 at 11:06 this morning. Now coming across the Pacific, we have this very large earthquake that happened on land in Panama, a 6.2 near Osorrio de Guriche, Panama. This happened at 10:23 last night, 26 kilometers deep. I don't know if that did any damage. I should have done follow-up on this, but I didn't. But it was on land and it definitely could have done damage. Well, let's just go to Volcano Discovery and see. While we're here, earthquakes. Let's see, 6.2. There it is. Panama, Costa Rica border info. It was original. Some reporting stations listed it at a 6.4. This happened Wednesday at 5:23 UTC time. Right there. It was equivalent to 1.9 atomic bombs. 41 kilometers deep. Wow, look at all these reports. This person from Alto Bouquet, my entire building were shaking quite a bit for a bit. Here's someone at Estorils Estes, moderate shaking. I was asleep and felt the bed swaying back and forth. I looked outside and the pool water was sloshing. Here's someone 31 kilometers from the epicenter. Strong shaking. Our refrigerator and other furniture moved a short distance and items fell off of shelves. We were awakened by our bed shaking. Here's someone at Calle Mimi in Atenas. Light shaking. The movement was from side to side, lasted maybe 30 seconds. Opened all our drawers in the kitchen. Here's, let's see. So there are lots of reports. So, you know, you're certainly welcome to come read all of these. I'm going to leave this link in the show notes as well. Hang on, I gotta add this one. Ton of people wrote in. Moderate and light shaking, I'm seeing a lot of that. Some strong shaking. So, not seeing reports of damage there. Doesn't mean anything though. So, we'll get back to our update here. So, there's that. And by the way, that's not near the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is down here at Panama City. Right there. That's the Panama Canal that connects the Pacific Ocean. Goes through here. and goes through there and comes out on the other side on the Atlantic Ocean. So it didn't break that, I don't think. We would be in big trouble if that broke. And that's all of the international earthquakes. So now let's go to all magnitudes and take a peek at Hawaii. We've got 15 here today. We've got one in the ocean just on the northern end of Hawaii near Kapau, 2.5 at 9:28 last night. And it looks like, if we zoom in, we've got them in clusters. They're clustered down here by Pahala and up here by Kilauea. So, a lot of 2s here. Looks like this 2.9 is the highest. It came in at 5:03 this afternoon. And it's at Pahala. So we've got a lot of in the 2s range, and we've got some in the 1s range too. 2.8 is the next one. That's at Pahala. So we're seeing a cluster here. See, they're clustering and piling up right there. So definitely magma is on the move. Now let's look at the Caribbean. We've got 8 here today. The largest one is this 3.3 near Puerto Rico. And then we've got some in the 2s. Well, here's 2.8, 2.8. They're all in the ocean. Even this little one, they're all in the ocean. So these are not big enough to do any damage. But it's showing movement. Now let's move on up to Alaska. We're showing 77 here today. We've got 4 of those that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. Here's a 2.5 at Unalaska Island. Here's a 2.5 at Old Iliamna. That's a volcano. That one came in at 12:42 this morning, 128 kilometers deep. 2.7 at Kobuk at 3:17 this morning at the surface, 0 kilometers depth. And a 2.7 at Sutton Alpine at 12:57 this afternoon. So let's zoom in with all magnitudes. We're seeing these clusters here on these islands. Here's 3 small ones at Tanaga Volcano. There's that 2.5. We've got 2 small ones at Akutan. Coming on up, we're seeing it more at this Cook Inlet, and coming on up this land, the edge of the land here that's coming down. That's the 2.5 at Old Iliamna. Here's our 2.2 Kodiak Station, and so on and so forth. We've got more at the Cook Inlet. Here's some near Redoubt Volcano. Whole bunch. Like in this viewing area right here, we'll take Anchorage out of the map. There's 13 right there. So that's more. That's an uptick. Anchorage doesn't have too many today. There's only 11 right here today. And these are in the 1s range. So we do see them moving up. The movement is moving up through the state, which is normal Got a couple up here in the northern part. Over here at Kobuk, we have 7 here today. The highest one is that 2.7. Now let's come on down. Uh-oh. No, I thought these were bigger. We've got a couple in the little armpit. That's a 1.6 at Skagway and a 1.1 at Haines Junction. Okay, coming on down to the lower 48 and the upper part of Baja, Mexico. We're showing 152 here today, so that's more than half. All right here. And most of them are right down here along the San Andreas fault line. So we're going to start here in Oklahoma. We have 10 here today. I'm going to call them off. 1.7 Perry, 2.3 Holdenville, 0.5 Guthrie, 1.1 Guthrie, 1.5 and 1.4 Perry, 2.5 Stroud, 1.4 Cushing, 2.3 and 2.2 Purcell. So that 2.5 is the highest one. So quite a bit of movement there. Coming on up on the Utah border, we've got 2 at Paris, Idaho, a 2.5 and a 1.2, just to the west of Bear Lake, it looks like. Here's a 1.8 near Afton, Wyoming. We're in the Yellowstone area now. Coming on up. Okay, we've got a 0.5 near West Yellowstone and a 0.6 near West Yellowstone. And then here's a 1.9 near Lima, Montana. So that's kind of quiet over there. Now over here in the Pacific Northwest, in Oregon and Washington, we're seeing 8 here today. On the trimmer map, this is from yesterday, they're only showing 6 trimmers. And they were down here by Medford, Oregon, down the southern end of Oregon. So I'm going to call these off. Well, let's just zoom into Amboy first. This is at Mount St. Helens. We've got 3 in the crater. Well, 1 on the edge of the crater, then the other 2 inside the crater. Here's a 0.8, 0.5, and a 0.2. This is at Mount St. Helens volcano. Here's a 0.2 at Eatonville and a 0.3 at Eatonville. Now this is to the west of Mount Rainier, another volcano. Here's a 0.7 near Desert Air, 1.3 Lake Goodwin, and a 2.0 at Cedro Woolley. Okay, now coming on down into Northern California, we have 2 here at the pivot point a 1.2 and a 0.7, both at Petrolia. And then coming on down, here's a 1.0 near Redwood Valley. And then coming across into the Reno area, we've got 4 north of Incline Village in the mountains at 0.5, 0.7, minus 0.1, and a minus 0.3. So this first one was a minus 0.1. So we've got some microquakes going on there. A little tiny movement, but it's still movement. Here in the Hawthorne area, we're showing 5 today. Got a cluster to the east of Hawthorne Lake. Here's an explosion, 1.6 magnitude explosion near Tonopah. We've got 2 down here at Goldfield, 2 small ones. We've got, this is a 0 magnitude at Alamo. And we've got some activity down here in Beatty and Pahrump. These are small microquakes. There's 7 here. So that's kind of normal to see that. It's not normal not to see any activity there. Okay, here in California, 0.2 at Bridgeport and a 1.0 Mammoth Lakes. So in this Mammoth Lakes area, we're seeing 8 here today. And the largest is this 1.4 at Mammoth Lakes. Coming on down, here's a 0.5 at Lone Pine. At Coso Junction, we have 3 small ones. They're 0.6 and 0.7. So that activity is going down. Here, 1.9 at Tehachapi, 1.4 at Grapevine, 1.6 at Ojai. Here's a 1.7 near Coronado. It's in the ocean to the west of San Diego. And then down in Baja, just on the other side of the border, we've got a 2.4 and a 2.4 at Delta, Baja California, Mexico. And these came in 2 minutes apart. Right there in that little lake area. So in Southern California and Baja today, we're showing 55. So that's an uptick from what we've been seeing, but it's more of a normal number though. Look at this cluster down here at Holtville. We've got 7 right there. And then they're peppered around, coming up through, they're just clustering through here. Let's look at Glen Avon. We've got 10 here today. 1.9 and under. Here's 2 more quarry blasts. Here's a 0.6 and a 1.5. So let's see what might be 2.5 or higher. Okay, so these are small. Now let's come on up. The San Andreas fault line, 1.6 at Ojai, 1.4 Grapevine. Okay, we showed those. I want to go back down here. Just take a peek. Okay. Now here's a 0.8 near Avila Beach, 1.7 Parkfield, 2.4 Coalinga, 1.2 Pinnacles, Here we have them in a row. 1.7 Morgan Hill. Looks like we've got two here. A 1.0 and a 2.5 at Alum Rock. Here's a 1.2 Hayward and a 0.4 Kensington. Look how these all are lining up in this long line. And then here at the geysers, we've got 22 here today. So that's kind of an average number. And the largest one is this 1.6. So we'll back out and see if anything else came in that we need to look at. I think that's it. So I'd like to remind everyone that I do believe we are in the end times, and as such we need to all get our spiritual house in order. So until next time, God bless you, go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.